What is going on, guys? Jack here, and today I've got a video showing you guys the best draft mode bargains in Football Manager 2016. As with a lot of my shortlist videos and kind of my best player videos, this is one that you can download as a shortlist off the Steam Workshop. A few people have been asking me how to do this. I'm also aware some people are having some problems with the Steam Workshop, so if you have any problems, please let me know how you're trying to subscribe to the items if you're doing it in-game, as I'm showing you guys here, or if you're doing it by any other means. So the easiest way actually to do this is to come to the Football Manager 2016 workshop, click on my name, and then you'll see here it shows all my workshop items on my page. I should be fairly easy to find because the most popular items, a lot of them are mine. But if you just click on my name or find this page just by searching, you can use the search bar. And then we have the Fantasy Draft Mode Bargains file here, which you can just subscribe to. If you hit subscribe, it'll start downloading in your game. I know some people have had problems. You might need to restart your computer, your game, or Steam to get it to appear having subscribed. But it really should work unless there's some networking issues. And if there are issues, let me know on the Steam Workshop. Loads of people have been reporting issues. I've been trying to help them out. And I'm hoping that this one will work absolutely fine for the majority of people, having just seen how I've subscribed to it. So anyway, as I mentioned, this is a Fantasy Draft Mode shortlist showing you guys some of the best players who are cheap in the Fantasy Draft Mode in FM16. So the way this works is it's a shortlist which you can load up at the start of a Fantasy Draft Mode game. I'm sure you guys are aware, but at the start of Draft Mode games, you have a 5-minute period where you're able to basically make a shortlist. And in that time, you can use it simply to load up my shortlist. So if you come to the shortlist tab, load shortlist. If you search by type, the ones with like the little disc, like the up arrow in a tray, they're the ones you've downloaded. And as you can see here, Fantasy Draft Mode Best Bargains, because we're subscribed to it. If we load this up, we now have a list of all of these players who are available as kind of draft mode bargains in this year's game. So you can see their prices here. The most expensive player is Victor Valdez, definitely the best value for money when it comes to a goalkeeper in draft mode, in my opinion. He's a really good goalkeeper. I think his current ability is around 160. I believe the majority of these players have current abilities of 130 plus, and given some of their prices, that's pretty good going. So anyway, let's have a little bit of a look through this shortlist. Obviously, there's loads of players here. There's 43 in total, more than enough to make a team. You can see as well there is a variety of positions filled here and a variety of prices as well. So if we look at players like Colazzo, he's only £1 million. And as you can see, he's not a bad fullback. He's the kind of player who'd be a really good bench option for you to have. So if you, in draft mode, build a really strong starting 11 and you need those cheap options on the bench who can still do a job, you know, this is the kind of shortlist that should hopefully help you guys out. Although, to be honest, a lot of these players are kind of capable of starting games for you. I also appreciate not many people have played Fantasy Draft Mode yet. I definitely recommend that if you have a friend who plays Football Manager, that you try out this mode. Obviously, I've done some videos with Dr. Benji on it, but it's a kind of game mode that I definitely think is worth recommending and definitely worth checking out if you enjoy kind of just messing around with some friends. It can be something fun to do over a few drinks. Anyway, Sebastian Junger here, really good German fullback. Got actually a German cap. I'm not sure why he is as cheap as he is, but he's only £3.7 million. Pretty good right back, kind of player who would be more than capable of doing a job for the majority of teams in Fantasy Draft Mode. I found the best tactic with Fantasy Draft Mode really is to focus on building the best strike force you can and just trying to outscore the opposition. However, there are some really good goalkeepers in here. If we go for this, should we go for one? Who should we go for? Let's go for this guy, Jamie Ayovi. You can see he's 27 years old, £2.5 million, and he's a really well-rounded off striker, the kind of player who would be pretty decent, you know, in the majority of teams to come on off the bench. You'll notice with a lot of these players, they come from South America and Central America. That's because the transfer value, which is the value that you have to pay for players in draft mode, is basically relative to their wages and their value and their ability. And obviously, in South America, there's a lot of players who aren't on a lot of money, and as a result, you can get some crazy bargains. There's also this guy, Sergey, who I use a lot, 24 years old, absolutely phenomenal, a phenomenal centre mid. And as you can see here, he's valued at under £1 million. So one of the best bargains by far in this entire shortlist. Definitely worth kind of picking up. A really good defensive midfielder, really good value as well. £1 million for him in a draft mode. I mean, with a few of these players in your team, you can go absolutely ham and just splurge money on some of the biggest players. As I mentioned, however, there are a lot of players in this list, so I'm not going to spend too long going through them. We'll have a look at a few more. We have this guy, let's go with him. Federico Coraggio. who looks like a pretty good winger. You can see he's actually quite versatile, so that could be quite a nice player to have, you know, if you're looking quite weak on the bench. Maybe you've got a few players worth a few £1,000s on the bench because you're not really taking them too seriously and you just need a half-decent backup option. He's the kind of man for you. And yeah, this shortlist is one that I definitely recommend downloading. Even if you don't intend on playing draft mode, it's one of those things where it'll be useful for you to have the one time when you do play draft mode, particularly if you're playing friends or against people who are kind of quite experienced with draft modes. I expect a lot of these players will become players that just everyone drafts early on. There are some other fairly well-known players in this shortlist. Obviously, I showed Victor Valdez before. You can see Kevin Prince Boateng here, only valued at £3.8 million, the Ghanaian. A really good centre mid for that kind of price in draft mode. Particularly if you're not playing with the biggest kind of monetary budgets in draft mode, a lot of these players will be very, very useful for you. Anyway, I think we'll end with just one more player. We'll have a look at Mariano here, the Brazilian right-back. As you can see here, pretty good player, signed from Sevilla for £5.75 million if you draft him. And yeah, I really recommend this shortlist. Definitely check it out. Let me know if you go through the shortlist and there's some players here who everyone should know about. You know, leave them in the comments if you spot some and it's just like everyone needs to know about them. But in reality, a lot of these players are really good players. None of them are going to be absolutely, you know, superstars for your draft mode teams in fantasy draft mode. But what they will offer is some strength in depth and some really good budget solutions. Anyway, guys, that wraps things up from me. There'll be a link to the shortlist on the Steam Workshop down below in the description. However, you can find it in-game as I showed you at the start. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash the like button. If you enjoy the Steam Workshop file and find it useful, rate it up, leave it a favourite. It really does help me out. Of course, if you're new to my channel, subscribe. And other than that, it is me, Jack, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.